got the situation of a manager or merry-go-round here and who's affecting whom. Kieran McKenna being one who may be staying now at the club and not going back to where he was a coach, both in the youth system and assistant coach to Mourinho and Rangnick and Solskjaer, etc. But whoever United do get in, should they decide to get rid of Erik ten Hag, there's this really interesting story in the Telegraph, John, about whether the whole sort of United and Nice sort of situation might impact Manchester United in terms of which European competition they're playing, because of course both Manchester United and Nice are at least part owned by Ineos.
Yeah, it talks also about UEFA really needing a sort of an independent panel to rule within the next week or so. So they have plans in place, and which team goes into which competition. And you know, reading this, it looks as if one team is going to miss out, then it's going to be Man United be relegated into the Conference League. But what I would say is that we have had very similar cases in recent past. And I do think Brighton have ended up playing a Belgian team, which Tony Bloom has got an interest in. Man City have got a similar prospect, perhaps with Girona next season. And also, what is it, Villa and a sort of Portuguese side entered the same competition the season just gone. So generally what I'm saying is a compromise is found. And I do think that Ineos are very confident, actually, that they will find some sort of compromise in the ownership structure to detail a reason why the particular owners won't have too much controlling stake over one team as compared to the other, if you like. Generally, you find a way around it. And what I would say is that the noises coming out in the recent past of UEFA, and particularly Ceferin himself, the president, basically making it clear that, look, we have to move with the times, we have to be realistic. Multi-club ownership is the way forward for a lot of big businessmen, for a lot of big teams, and basically we will probably find a correction in a longer term, even if we have to find compromises. They've got about a week or so to convince UEFA. And I don't know, I bet that they will. I bet you will find that basically Man United, who are one of the biggest teams in the world, make absolutely no mistake about it, will be a very, very big draw into next season's Brave New World for UEFA competition, which includes a kind of a bit of a revamp and a bit of a new look for Europa League. And that's a competition that they will not want to lose Manchester United from. So my bet and my smart money, I bet, will find that within the next week or so, they'll find some sort of compromise. Oh, how cynical I am.
Yeah, and you've got to think that, you know, Manchester United, Brailsford, Ratcliffe, etc., must have thought about this, you know, when this whole thing came together. Let's stay with United and stay with the Telegraph for the moment, although the Mail are also covering this story. Return to office or quit. Ratcliffe's ultimatum. I mean, Martin, this is interesting, the sort of correspondence, the missive that was sent to United's non-football staff, according to the piece from James Ducker, invited to give up their jobs in an email sent across the club yesterday. And look at this for the Mail. United staff cull. They're a little stronger on the headline here. Penny pinching Ratcliffe to cut a fifth of workforce. I mean, you know, they are so, I suppose, very single-minded about how they are going about things at Old Trafford in all departments, aren't they?
Well, it was interesting that had to be clarification that it was non-playing staff who had been offered a bigger bonus if they resigned by Wednesday. So I assume that wasn't open to Erik ten Hag and his staff as a way to solve a problem that seems to be mounting. It's very easy to cut the little man at the bottom, but they don't seem to be able to make the big decision about what happens to the man at the top. And if we are to believe what's happening, that a football club that was ready to get rid of Erik ten Hag is changing its plans for the season based on one game, then I suggest getting rid of people who were keen on working from home might not be the revolutionary step that some of the fans wanted in terms of changing the way that club has success in the future. It always seems harsh on I think the Mail and certainly maybe the Guardian was saying you may be talking about a 25% cut of the non-playing workforce. So this is people's livelihoods who earn nothing at all, like the players themselves and the management staff. So these are life-changing decisions. But I think, having read about this for the last 2 or 3 months, this is kind of part of Ratcliffe's plan to streamline the non-playing side of the club to make sure that it runs a lot better. Maybe he's running that side of the business will help, but at the same time, you're talking about a ground and a first team and a manager that I think will take preference in terms of importance from all of the supporters. And we may well talk about whether Ten Hag stays or whether Thomas Tuchel has the experience to kind of oust him. But it's interesting that we're in the week after the FA Cup finals finished, and nobody's still quite sure who's going to be in charge next season. And that isn't quite the dynamic new regime that we were promised.